man who does emote and a man who is revered by all. He is the true voice of reason, the calming influence in the world of the National Football League, which is still the greatest sports league in America. He is the great John McMullen, NFL insider, Sports Illustrated. He pretty much runs the world now. Mm-hmm. He's the guy the commissioner calls when he needs a bro hug first. Johnny Mac. John McMullen, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? I will say this. I mentioned that the Eagles had not released a statement, and an hour later there it was. I said people were keeping score.
A statement on what now? On what in particular?
On our cities burning to the ground.
Wait, our cities burning to the ground?
Rumor has it. I haven't seen.
Well, you know why they haven't released a statement? Because anybody who works.
Well, they did.
No,
now.
I'm saying why they didn't previously or prior to now is because all the people who work in the complex aren't in South Philadelphia. They're over in their homes in Jersey and all their luxury apartments away from all this stuff. They're not sitting down here when ATMs are exploding a couple of feet away from their homes and gunshots are being fired and you can smell the smell of arson all around you. That's why they haven't issued a statement.
Well, it is. You know, when you talk about how Jeffrey Lurie projects himself and how he wants to be perceived as a progressive owner, his politics are generally very, very progressive. It was a little bit of a surprise why that he didn't come out for as long as he did. But, I mean, that's kind of one of the things I talked about. You have this entire almost cottage industry of scorekeepers who go on social media. And Anthony Lynn actually talked about this, the coach of the Chargers, and because he didn't issue a statement. And he was pretty honest about it. And he said, you know, I'm not interested in just checking boxes. And I think a lot of people just check that box because they're forced to, and they have to. But to Jeffrey's credit, his was more, it was a little bit deeper than the average boilerplate statement. Nonetheless, it's a strange world we live in. I'll just say that.
It's like, basically, it's like bringing in the National Guard to try to stop the uprisings in our city about 3 days too late. Listen, I don't care. Anybody can have a statement. This is America. And that's why I will not be silenced with my opinions, and then nobody should. I don't care if Jeffrey Lurie or everybody else does, but everybody feels like they're compelled to issue a statement. Fine, issue a statement.
Yeah.
How is that going to fix anything? Because Jeffrey Lurie is woke now? We already know he's woke.
Yeah, that's the whole point. And it, you know, before people looked at players, and I'm like, if you want, I say this all the time, for athletes and organizations, at their core, you know, sports teams are entertainment vehicles. It's a business designed to entertain you. I don't know why people look to them. And this is because of the popularity of the league. Obviously, the NFL is at the forefront. This isn't the first issue. I mean, everything. People look to the NFL. Why are you looking to the NFL? Why do you care what Roger Goodell thinks about various issues? Why do you care what a football player might be 22, 23 years old, hasn't lived barely at all? Why are their opinions meaningful? You know, look to your community leaders. Look to your, if you're religious, look to your church leaders. Look to your parents. Look to your family.
I can't go in my church. I don't want to spread the Rona.
Well, you can't do that.
No, that's gone now.
Is it gone?
I think it's gone.
I need an update from Dr. Fauci before I proceed.
I think he's gone, too.
I think he's gone.
He gone.
No, he did issue a statement yesterday. But, John, just to be fair to Dr. Fauci, he did issue a statement yesterday saying that if you do intend to loot and riot, make sure when you're going into a gutted building to only have 25 looters at the same time. And if you're going to pass stuff out of a window
Be 6 feet
on
apart.
Madison Avenue, have one person toss it, you know, sort of like a relay line. You toss it to a person 6 feet in front, that person then tosses, so that you are practicing social distancing before that last person puts it inside that waiting car outside for the curbside pickup service that we're seeing provided all over our great cities.
I do want to see, just as a social experiment, I want to see the peaceful part of the protest before it turns riotous. I want to see those people march to a church and see if they let them in. Will they let them in if it's 100, 200 people?
No, not so far. That's in phase 8. We're only up to phase 3 now. I don't know what phase is. I just set the tasers to phase.
Well,
I just said, what do I set to phase? What's the term for all of you like nerdy people who
Isn't
do
it
that?
set phasers to stun?
That is set
Oh, is that
phasers
it?
to stun. Thank you,
Set
Joe.
phasers to stun.
I
You're
said-
going Star Trek on me.
I know.
By the
listen.
way, Tony, I get yelled at because I'm on your show.
By who?
Why?
I'm like, well, because Tony gives his opinion.
Yeah, I know.
And
You can't
therefore-
have that.
And by the way, Tony and I have never had, I don't think we've ever had a political conversation off the air.
No.
We've been together doing live shows. I mean, I tell this to people all the time. People who are paid to give their opinion should be able to give their opinion.
No,
It's
not anymore. Come on, John. What are you, crazy? Don't you understand the new rules in this country? You can't have an opinion unless you agree with everybody else. How dare anybody think for themselves and have an opinion that's not the same as everybody else's?
Yeah, I mean, these litmus tests are ridiculous, and they only exist online. They only exist in social media. Like all these people who hate other people because of what they tweet or what they say on social media, presumably they all have families and friends and neighbors they deal with every day. Do they ask them litmus tests? No. In their real life, they just go about and you know, not to say you like everyone. Everyone doesn't get along, but generally people are decent and they say hi and they hold the door at Wawa, and they don't ask you a litmus test before they do it. It's time to get off social media and act like human beings.
Well, that's what I try to do every day. Robin and I went out this morning, talked to our neighbors. We'll get to that later. But let's get it, as Harry Mays would say, on some of the shows that are safe where you have to get it back to the Eagles or else they'll take you off the air and the program director will come running in here.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Get it back to the – let's get back to Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. Has that been decided, or do we still have any juice left to squeeze out of that baby?
I don't think there is any juice left. Well, there's always juice locally, nationally on your platform. I think the real discussion is Jalen Hurts. I think that's a bigger controversy than Carson Wentz versus Nick Foles ever was. And what I mean from that perspective is the Eagles never believed in Nick Foles as a long-term starting quarterback. They always saw him as sort of a closer.
All right, wait a minute. That's enough. That ends. That ends today's Nick Foles, Carson Wentz discussion. Now, Harry, let's move on.
No, he's using that to set up the Jalen Hurts thing.
I know.
Because that's the next thing. See, that'll start.
That's
the second phase.
That's the second phase.
Second wave. It's the second wave
of Eagles talk that will be pounded into people's heads on local radio here.
I set that to stun you, Tony. That is the real controversy. Because if Carson gets hurt again and Jalen Hurts plays well, then you have all these real discussions because of how much money Carson Wentz makes. Cost-effective contract for Jalen Hurts. That's legitimate. The other stuff wasn't legitimate.
How do we know, seriously, that Carson Wentz is not back in North Dakota and South Dakota as part of an Antifa underground movement that we don't know about and sending bricks, sending all these pallets of bricks all over the cities?
He's working for Berkshire Hathaway, I think. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. That guy, and I know him well enough to know, he does a lot for his particular community. And he's obviously a very faith-based person. He's a very religious person. Some people don't like that. Some people love it. But he does a lot of stuff altruistically, and nobody gives a you-know-what because it's not sexy.
Right.
You know, and they're worried about him, and they're saying, oh, wow, Carson, put something on social media. This guy does so much for charity, and that's not meaningful until he puts something in Notepad on Twitter. It's a bizarre world to me.
Yeah, I love. And listen, I'm all about people, donating money and time. But I've ever noticed whenever an athlete goes out and gives something away, which isn't his and is provided by a sponsor, they get all the credit, and they have 16 camera crews following them around. That's easy to do when you're a celebrity. It's much better when you walk around and nobody's there and you give. Those are the people I respect more. Having camera crews following you around because some company provided $100,000 of their money and time so that you can look like a hero, that's not a hero to me. I'm sorry.
Well, I agree. Anybody who's doing charity work for publicity, yeah, I agree. That's Carson does a lot of stuff that is not publicized by the Eagles. He's got his own foundation, his annual softball game, which he does 2 of them. He does one in Philadelphia, one in North Dakota, but they're canceled because of COVID that no longer exist, evidently. But I don't know. Those things aren't publicized. But and again, the people who are involved care a lot, and the people who aren't involved don't care at all.
Hey, John, you see Deshaun Jackson was on the Lane Johnson's Outside the Lane podcast.
Did he tell him to stay in his lane? I mean, how does he go outside the lane? Shouldn't he stay in his lane, bro?
Everybody's got a podcast.
As long as Lane keeps his hands inside, okay? So you don't want to get holding.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was there any holding on this podcast?
No, there wasn't.
Did he get injured at all during any of these podcasts? That's what I care about when I talk about
No, but I think he's doing supplements that may or may not be on the league's approved list. Deshaun Jackson said that maybe they should give, mic the players up and give the fans, better insight as to what's going on if there's not going to be anybody in the stadium. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Graham mentioned that as well, and he said that would be one of the interesting parts, and you get to see some of the trash talk. That's what people loved about the XFL, the people who were watching that. They mic'd up the coaches. They had the quarterbacks mic'd up. You could see the communication back and forth and how they were calling plays and how they were doing things. And I thought it was really educational for the fans that were watching that. I couldn't imagine the NFL embracing that.
No.
But, I mean, there's some degree, if nobody's in the stands, you're just going to hear something. And that's going to be the nature of it as they mic the field. But I don't know if they want to go down that road, and I disagree with them. I think the more you can bring people into it, the better. But they don't think that way. I mean, they don't. And coaches, by the way, they would hate that. Mm-hmm. And the coaches in the XFL hated it.
Yeah.
Because
coaches hate everything like that.
Yeah, they really do, because you can see them making mistakes in real time. Nobody wants to see that. There was a quarterback.
I do.
I know. It's really interesting. Matt McMullen, the old Penn State quarterback.
This was
on
great.
The New York Guardians. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he just imploded on the sidelines in the frustration. It was a disaster for him, but it was compelling television.
I mean,
you can imagine. Harry, can you imagine that in the NFL, if an NFL quarterback imploded like that?
Oh, and just called out the offense and the coach on the field going into the tunnel.
And I heard the fans were chanting, "We are!
Yeah.
We are! We are! We suck!"
I think a lot of Penn State fans forgot he went to Penn State.
We have tape, we had our mics were there for the Matt McGloin implosion.
Oh, no! We suck again!
Exactly, man. It's good stuff. Anytime you get Matt McGloin talk on the show, you know you're digging deep in
You never know where it's going to go, Tony. That's interesting stuff.
John McMullen, our NFL insider at Sports Illustrated, everywhere. I mean, is there anywhere
Philly
Voice, you can read him in there. John, is there anything you're not doing right now that you want to promote?
No, I was trying to promote my podcast. When Harry said Lane has a podcast, I said everybody has a podcast, including me, Extending the Play with our good friend Ryan Rothstein.
Extending the Play. I like that. I try to do that a couple nights, but I'm getting older, and it's hard to keep it going. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's what they have.
I have Extend. Actually, I bought Extends for that.
Extends, exactly. It's going to be the sponsor.
Are they the sponsor of the Extending the Play, Ryan? Extends, baby.
I love those commercials.
And you know what? The ladies will like it, too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what's great about the podcast. And, guys, no, that's a different product. Wait a minute. Here's breaking news. I want anybody who doesn't have a podcast to call in today. I mean, seriously, do you know anybody who doesn't have a podcast?
It's going to be a slow day.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody's got a podcast. And everybody who didn't before this uproar in this country now has one over the past 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, if you're stuck in your house, and we've been stuck in the basement, for years here. So we were way ahead of the curve before the curve had to be flattened.
Right.
And now that the curve's flattened, we're still down here in the wine cellar, now known as the bunker, the survivalist bunker in South Philadelphia, John.
Yeah, I was going to stop by for the show, but
Did you hear any of the
I don't want to deal with that.
Did you hear any of the ATM machines blowing up?
No, but I was in ShopRite today, and it was like end of days. I went to the grocery store because my wife isn't feeling well, and she wanted some chicken soup. Big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go to the grocery store.
I haven't for over 10 years.
No, the ShopRite in Collingswood is awesome. We went by there the other day.
It is amazing.
That's the nicest on Route 130 up there. Absolutely, the nicest ShopRite, and it wasn't reluted yet. So we got in there. They had meat. They had like everything on the shelves. They had meat.
Don't tell anybody,
Okay.
Tony.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
They
You
had
just
the
ruined
meats,
it for
Harry.
The poor people in Collingswood. You just ruined it.
I know. Hey, I'm trying to help people get to provisions. You know, when we're living in conditions like Venezuela and Honduras on the mainland, we want to help people get provisions because every drugstore and everything else has been looted. How are people supposed to get medicine and food supplies here? Am I going to have to get rent a Chinook helicopter and drop relief aid to people in the city?
Hey, John.
You know, that's not a bad idea.
I know.
I think those are.
I would like to have.
You have the used Chinook helicopter dealership.
Exactly.
Well,
right.
honestly, I feel really, really bad for people that don't have cars that live in these neighborhoods where every single store has been hit, and now there's nothing, like they can't go just to the corner store and go shopping. They can't, and the buses have stopped running, so they're literally completely isolated now.
Yeah, I mean, earlier in my career, I lived in Minneapolis, the Minneapolis area, for about 10 years. I was there for a long time. I know that Lake Street neighborhood really, really well, and it's one of the lower income neighborhoods in Minneapolis, and that's exactly what you're talking about. You have people who, a lot of people use public transportation. They don't have a car, and everything is destroyed. Everything.
Yep.
And they have nowhere to go.
They don't.
And it's really a shame. It's really so sad. And that's a great neighborhood, and it's gone now. It's gone, and that's part of what I wrote about on PhillyBoys.com, and the fact that the mayor of Minneapolis was talking about the symbolism of the police department and how that wasn't important, while not realizing the symbolism of him giving up that police department arguably sparked everything else we're seeing in this country right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. John, let's get it back to anything that's football related. Not because we're not talking about the important things.
Get it back,
No,
Tony.
I got
This
something.
is your fault.
I mean,
It is my fault. I take the blame. Do I have to apologize now to the entire nation and issue a statement?
On social media. Doesn't matter unless you do it on social media.
What are we going to do now that Rob Gronkowski is no longer the 24/7 champion of the WWE?
Yeah, how about that?
Oh, that happened last night
Yeah,
while I was watching
Underreported
Space Reports.
story.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you could get that belt taken from you whenever and wherever. Yes.
Whenever. 24/7.
That's what matters.
R-Truth is the new champion.
Who?
R-Truth.
R-Truth.
You know, R-Truth will set you free.
That's right. He was posing as a landscaper on Gronkowski's property.
No way.
And Gronk was in the backyard just clowning around, talking to somebody who ended up being the referee because he took his clothing off, and underneath had the referee. We have the video.
We have video?
And audio. Yeah.
Is he a jobber?
The referee looked like a jobber.
He doesn't take things seriously, and he's not paying attention. He's having fun.
So you're not getting WWE Monday Night Raw updates.
That's right.
That are sports related. That's a combo mambo. You got wrestling and NFL tight end talk all in the same segment, Harry. You'd have to pay $9.99 a month for the WWE Network to get this kind of extensive wrestling coverage.
How soon did it take Bruce Arians to call Gronkowski and say, "You're giving up that belt as soon as possible," as soon as he signed him?
Now Freddie Mitchell could come
it's
over there.
interesting because Rob had signed to do a big match at SummerSlam, which is in August and was scheduled to be in Boston. And that was the tie-in, obviously, as a Patriot. Now he's no longer a Patriot. He can't do anything in Boston.
Right.
So they're not going to be able to have live fans. So
Right.
and now he signed with Tampa Bay. So yeah, his fun is over.
He is the people champ. So this was filmed outside. This wasn't
This
live.
is at
right?
Gronkowski's house.
I know, but I'm
yeah.
saying that when they ran it on WWE Monday Night Raw, this was previously recorded.
I
right?
would imagine so.
I don't think they did it
Yeah,
live.
yeah,
Did they go
yeah.
live to
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski's
No.
house?
No.
No,
Dude.
no, Rob is a big star.
Did you want me to play this really?
He is a horrible actor.
Who? Rob
Gronkowski.
Gronkowski. He's perfect for wrestling.
He is
Come on.
just horrible.
Is he like late night Cinemax horrible?
Worse.
Worse than that?
Yes.
Let's go to the tape.
All right, you ready?
I got you. Don't worry. I got you.
Got the belt on. Is that the 24/7 belt?
Yep.
Who's the guy with the
Wait a
leaf
second.
rake?
That's
is
the
this guy?
landscaper.
He's just flipping mulch. Don't worry about him.
Okay.
So he's filming a video right
Oh,
now.
and there's a referee?
Yeah. So now he turns around.
Wait
He
a
sees the
second.
ref.
Wait a minute. Oh!
Oh, and he's down.
And he's down.
Oh, he got him, and he got him quickly. That was the
Yes.
quickest submission I've
That
seen
was
since a
it.
Kardashian sister at the NBA All-Star Weekend, Harry.
Oh my God, that was the worst acting job ever.
What did I tell you?
Come on, let's go. You're with the Bucks now.
He
Come on,
is
let's-
brutal.
That
It's
is-
just horrible.
That should be taken off the. That's on ESPN.com.
I'm telling
that
you.
should be taken off the internet and declared unfit for viewing for children under the ages of 10.
It's probably got 10 million hits on
I
it.
know.
Yeah, you're
I know. It's going viral.
ECW would not put up with that.
No, ECW Arena. They
They're
would have
hardcore.
You would have had what's his name? Styles.
Joey Styles?
Joey Styles would scream, "Oh my God!"
Well, the ECW Arena is Viking Hall in South Dakota. I don't know what they call it now.
No, it's called the 2300 Arena.
2300.
Come
yeah.
on, John. You think I don't know my South Philly?
I know.
I
That's
made
what
my
was about to
bones
ask
down
you.
here
I was
before you were
about- I was
banging
about to
cheerleaders in the
ask you.
NFL.
I was about to ask you if the 2300 Arena is okay.
I don't know. I haven't checked it.
You got to do that. You got to get out of the bunker and check on the 2300
I'm not allowed out.
Arena.
I'm not allowed out. I got to stay inside to stay safe and all those other important. But that's from one thing we've learned, though, John, as we wrap it up. I think we can all agree at this point we are no longer all in this together.
Oh, I
Is
told
there
you
any
that
doubt
from the
about it?
beginning.
Yeah, but now it's proof.
Yeah.
We have certified proof we are not in this together. So all you advertisers out there with your sob stories, let's turn the page and move on from we're all in this together. Because sadly, we're not. Beautiful, man. Hey, John, great to talk to you, man.
Beautiful.
There he is. And
right,
tell all
thanks,
your
guys.
buddies,
Appreciate
tell
it.
all your woke buddies in the NFL media to kiss my grits. Thank you, John.
Yeah, they don't like me because I'm attached to you.
That's
So
all
thanks.
right.
Is that right?
Well, you know, they're
No, I'm joking. They don't care.
no, they don't. I know they don't like me. And guess what? I don't like them either. We're coming right back.